Fancy managers, hello and welcome back to the FPL Addicts Game Week 5 preview show sponsored by Bonus Bank. If you're new around here, make sure you give our podcast or videos some love with a like, rating or review on podcast and YouTube, as well as a subscription. That would be fantastic, guys. And let's say good day to our panelists today. I am joined by Mikey, the FPL Reverend, Chaz Roberts, Christopher Reid, who's got a breakfast bar in his mouth, and also Ollie Walker Peel. Good day, gents. Rev, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, mate, I'm doing really good. Had a game week which wasn't too bad. Just literally only 1 point behind yourself. So you know, I'm going to be doing mate. Quite well. Yeah. So yeah, don't look too far behind you. But one of the things I have been getting wrong is my captaincy shout. So I'm really looking forward to what Chaz has got to say on the old captaincy this week, mate.
Well, we know we'll be bringing the knowledge very shortly on his Captain's Corner segment. But Chaz, how are you, sir?
Oh, why? Hello. Good evening to Jack and Ollie, and good afternoon to the Rev and Reedy Man himself. Always loving to hear the chicken wrap with cheese and his breakfast bar. I'm looking forward to hearing more on your cooking recipes soon enough. It's fantastic to be back here live for the first time in a couple of game weeks.
Brilliant. I'm sure we'll get the recipe sent to you directly after the show, mate. And Reedy, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Doing good.
Taking a big breath there.
Because I was just thinking, chicken wrap.
Just taking a bite.
Breakfast bars, Liverpool 9-0, everything's getting thrown out at the minute, and we've got a quick turnaround at FPL as well. So it's all going off. Looking forward to the pod, and good to be back with you boys today.
Yeah, and as Mike Halpin says, who's joined us on the stream for a change, good to see you, Mike. And he really can only cook scouse. Is that correct? Is that the go-to?
Oh, scouse. Stick it in the slow cooker, leave it a few hours. Bob's your uncle.
Love it, mate. Love it.
Jobs are good. Right. Mike knows.
Mike knows. All right, over to Ollie Walker Peel. How are you, buddy? You well? Are you missing Elliot?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's different to have a different host on for a change. Elliot's obviously gone AWOL for the night. I mean, he's getting the party in early because he's 18 tomorrow as we record this, so he's getting himself partying earlier on. We've got an Addict's birthday on the way, which is good. But I'm sure you'll fill his relatively big shoes well there, Jack. So I'm sure you'll be right.
I'm sure we will be all right.
Isn't it just such a coincidence that he has the worst game week ever, and all of a sudden he's gone missing? Oh.
He's gone hiding on it. What did we say last season? Right? If for anyone who tuned in last season, all Elliot used to say is, "Oh, Wally, all you're good at is playing mind games." Well, here I am, Mr. Elliot Craig, ready to return serve to you, my friend. So after you come down from your birthday celebrations, get on this podcast and explain your horrendous game week to us, please.
Yeah, it might be a good week. He's turning 18. You can finally go for a beer with him. But it's he's had a terrible game week. But that is how it happens sometimes. I'm sure we'll get into where he sits in the current league in our podcast one anyway. But let's just do a quick review. Obviously, he did the show with him yesterday for the game week review. Ollie, a couple of highlights from your game week review. What can we take away from that?
Yeah, it was good to step in for the two Scouse lads. It was an enjoyable pod. Me and Elliot both said that we enjoyed stepping in. So that was good fun. I thought Elliot hosted things very well, which was as always. And in terms of the game week just gone, we talked a lot about Liverpool, which I'm sure that Reedy will be happy with. It's no surprise when a team wins 9-0, they usually dominate discussion. Elliot reveled in the fact that I got rid of Trent and Captain Salah. So we talked about that. We talked about the emergence of Luis Diaz. Obviously, he's been a player at Liverpool for a while now, but he really had a good game and he's the most transferred in at the moment. So we had a bit of a talk about him. That was the main sort of discussion that we went on. We danced around other topics as well, which if you haven't seen it yet, go back and have a watch. Only half an hour segment, so go and have a look. So for a bit more content before we head into the next game week.
No, great stuff. It was a great stream, and I mean, you cover from as the Scouse boys did last week. You obviously cover from start to finish a couple of key results, a couple of key fixtures that popped up. I mean, obviously Liverpool with a 9-0, City with the comeback. That was absolutely huge, wasn't it? But you also pick a few assets in there who maybe shone and ones to look out for. So definitely go and check out that stream or listen on podcast. It is available now. But what we'll jump into now, we're going to look at how we went. I'm going to review our own teams. But we're going to start. Let's start. Because Elliot's not on, we can't start in the relegation zone. But Elliot did get 50 points this week. Not a great week from him. Did he take a hit as well? No, he didn't take any transfers, did he? But I've got no doubt he's going to be hitting a few transfers this week and making a hit. But he's currently ranked 7.5 million in the world, so not great from Elliot. He's taking a bit to warm up, but he's distracted by his birthday celebrations. We'll go to the next one, who's second from bottom, and a good recovery this week after a bit of a nightmare couple of weeks. That is our man, Chris Reed. 74 points. Read it. I hope you finish your food, mate, because we want you to review your team.
It's all done, mate. It's all done. 74 points. What can I say? Pretty happy with that. Not too pleased with Tony and Jesus maybe not getting a return, but we can't grumble too much. Trent, 17 points. People taking him out must have literally just been crying into their cornflakes. Saliba, again, it was so nice to get the points from him this week, albeit a bit fortunate for Arsenal. Robert Sanchez, actually, I've nearly forgot about him. He was my one transfer for the week, in for Ward, and it paid off. Got the 8 points, bonus points as well in there, of course, and that was just really, really good. Enjoyed that one probably the most over anything, which is saying something when Erling Haaland gets a hat-trick and gets you 17 points. Other than that, Mo Salah didn't get anything in the Liverpool game, which Twitter, just in terms of the FPL community, just went mental. And Kulusevski got a nice little assist for me, as well as James throwing in some points. So, yeah, pretty happy all around with it. 74 points. We move on.
Yeah, you've done all right there, mate. A good recovery from a couple of poor weeks, and obviously that Saliba, hauling them that score for you. I'm sure that was very sweet, and you did enjoy that. Might be a new Arsenal fan for you. Part of the fan club now, mate, for Arsenal. He's just absolutely gone off and his internet's horrendous. Right, we'll move on to the next one. Chaz Roberts, Balls of Steel, 84 points, the highest haul of the week in the podcast mini from the FPL Addicts. 232 points you sit on, and you've climbed up to 764k in the world. Talk us through your team, mate.
Yes, I'm back. It was a week that most things went my way, thankfully, and it was needed to, except for the captaincy. So it is a bit of a joke that I do this segment prior to every game week, and I still can't even deliver at my own peril. But we'll get to that very shortly. The Liverpool boys were a big difference. It was really nice watching that game, watching Trent do his usual attacking brilliance, as well as in the back half too, and same with Andy Robertson getting on the board. Luis Diaz with a brace really helped. Pascal Gross with 11 was huge. Like, that was ballsy massive. And Haaland, hat-trick. I mean, as Reedy said, what else can be said? It was just a great game week, except the captaincy. So I've got words of sun already.
Yeah, you've done exceptional this week, Chaz. It's good to see you making a good impact as well in the league. We've been waiting for this moment from you, so we want to see plenty of more of these game weeks from the obviously the manager that you are, and we all know you can become. So listen, great work this week, mate. I think I gave you the recommendation for Gross, didn't I? Can I take that one? I can take it. Cheers, mate. I appreciate that. All right, Ollie Walker Peel, your time. Morton, here's a who. Took a -4 last week, came out with 61 points, one below the average. How are you feeling about that, bud?
Yeah, I just want to elaborate what I took the hit for. I took the hit for Rodrigo, who blanked. And
here we go, guys. Make sure you're listening here.
And Alexander Zinchenko, who didn't play and was automatically subbed off. So not only did I get rid of Trent, I also got 3 points out of my -4. So that was fun. The positives, Luis Diaz was wonderful. Martin Odegaard was wonderful. Erling Haaland was wonderful, and Reece James pitching in with things. That's about where it ended. Captaincy wasn't great, but yeah, it was a real Jekyll and Hyde game week. Really poor score from my standards. If you scroll down a bit there, Jack, I think I'm in 2 million OR, which is pretty awful. 2.15 million, which is not a good start. But as we said last season and the season before that, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I will hopefully bounce back. Whether I can actually do that, let's see.
Yeah, it's a tough one in there, mate. I mean, defensively, you've had 4 points between 4 assets there. It's not great, is it? Obviously, City letting a lot of managers down, and that guy Cash, a lot of us cashed out a couple of weeks ago. Choose to pay by card instead. Are you still sticking with him? You feeling? Why have you stuck with him so far?
I don't know. I just again, I had other issues. My plan was to get rid of him a little while ago. Then I decided to get rid of Trent and whatever, and he was injured, so I just held him on my bench. He won't be in my team for much longer. He'll probably stay in my team until our wild card, which will be probably a couple of game weeks away.
I was going to say about wild card. I feel like you're a prime candidate for a wild card at the moment.
Probably. I know it's annoying because I've obviously used the chip already, and I don't want to use 2 chips, but I feel like I could do with a wild card. I had a look over a wild card and trying to make it work, and I couldn't justify playing it this week because I'm pretty actually happy with the fixtures this week, and there wasn't enough players that I could take out to justify playing it. But I reckon soon enough I probably will. And Cash, there's no way he's staying in my team after all that.
No, fair enough. And, I think there's even rumours about Gerrard even getting the dump as well. But over to second place, one behind me. I always struggle to say it's La Haaland, Mikey Ferguson, the Reverend himself. How are you feeling about your game week, mate? How did your team go?
Oh, well, I mean, everything again seemed to go so well apart from the captaincy pick, but I really can't complain. Obviously, first things first, Trent Alexander Arnold finally rewarding those patient managers. As the Rev, I do try and advocate for patience quite a lot. Saliba and James coming in there really strong. It was amazing to see Harry Kane get 2 goals, which was great, but obviously he had a yellow card and a missed pen, which left him on a mere 10 points, even though he only scored 2 goals. So it was one of those crazy, crazy weeks for him. Finally, as well, we see the Nordic Meat Shield, Erling Haaland, getting that haul of the 17 points. So all in all, quite a good week. I think moving forward, I feel like I don't really want to be on a freemium anymore, so I might try and chop and change my structure around, so I've got a bit more squad depth.
I'm finding your strategy intriguing because I feel like you're so reactive each week, but it has paid off. Obviously you saw what the issues were after your first game week. You've gone into the second game week when you're wild carded. You've then gone obviously big up top now, and it's with a score like that, it's obviously paid a few dividends for you, but you now obviously wanting to change again.
Yeah, so last week I rolled the transfer, which means I'm going into this current game week with 2 transfers, but also I'm not averse at all to taking another -4. You can call me the hitman.
Little mini wild card
soon, yeah. So another -4 on the cards this week for me to try and reshape the team structure, but also we are entering in a difficult period with a lot of busy fixtures, so I do feel like squad depth is going to be a bit more important moving on.
Yeah, nice, and we can get onto that a bit later on as well. Quick review of my team: 65 points this week. I still sit pretty at the top of the league, bragging rights over Mikey and the rest of the podcast at the minute. I think this is the most I've ever spent at the top of a podcast mini. So yeah, 3 weeks in there, 65 points. The triple up with City killed me again in there, conceding 2 against Crystal Palace. So no attacking returns from City players in there because I ain't got any. Alexander Arnold, sticking with him. No way I'm letting him leave my team. Diaz, 2 headers in there for Liverpool. Wasn't expecting that from him, but he's shown that he can score with his head as well as score screamers on his right foot. Odegaard, the Brazilian, as Chaz has said, Brazilian Diaz. Salah, obviously the captain pick, like so many, got killed off with that. No contributions in that 9-goal thriller. But over to Martin, I had his first kind of game week blank with Odegaard obviously stepping up. He's proved so well for me. I'm buzzing about that pick. He's probably the best pick I'll pick all season as well. Harry Kane stuck with him in that week, obviously, and he got the 10 points in there. Happy days. And Jesus quiet and now doing on the bench, so no candidates to bring in. But yeah, if could have been a different story if City had kept that clean sheet, or even Cancelo contributing, would have been nice with some attacking returns. But then again, off away we go and on to the next game week, and I'll see how that kind of goes going into that. But some big shout outs to obviously people who are watching. Thank you for joining us. And we've got quite a few people watching us at the moment. We are going to discuss a few of these points that people are asking about. But good evening to Football Chat Box Ryan. Eben, thanks for joining us as well. Similar to Ollie, stuck with cash and he's going to get rid of me on the wild card. Ryan Freeman, I'm going to be discussing you just in a second, mate. But thank you for joining us. And who else have we got in there? Tiff was on earlier. Hopefully she's it's not too late in what time is it in America at the minute? I don't know what time it is. I'm sure it's early in the morning for her. So yeah, thank you for everyone joining us. And if you are new around here, please jump onto the YouTube, leave us a comment on there. Any comments you want to put on there, give us a like, and also subscribe if you are not subscribed already. And if you are listening on podcast, it'd be greatly appreciated to give us a rating on there as well, and any feedback you want to leave us too, because it really does help with the podcast. But on to the review of our have we still got any Reedy yet? Is he back?
He said he was, yeah.
There he is. He is in there. Good man. Just I was missing you for a minute then, Reedy. Onto our members leagues. Yeah, got a little bit of a soft spot for the big lad, haven't I? So onto our members leagues. This is how it's looking. In our members league, if you've entered that this season, is a 5k cash pool to give away. Sitting pretty at the top of that is Lockie Nixon. He's already picked up 2 Manager of the Week awards, and he's sitting top with 279. It's looking good in there, to be fair. Me and Mikey aren't too far off, only a 21 points, off the top. Could be possible still to climb that table. We're going into obviously game week 5, which is the end of the month. So $150 sits out there for whoever takes out that prize. At the minute, Lockie is looking good. But the Manager of the Week does go to Ryan Friedman, who just jumped into our comments just a minute ago. Ryan hit 104 points this week. Unbelievable stuff. And he just commented saying he's going to take a free hit this week. So he's just hit a huge haul, 104 points, $40 cash in his pocket, and now he's going to free hit as well. So I'll be intrigued. Ryan, if you are, obviously, I hope you're watching still. Tell us what team you're putting at the minute. I'd love to see what's going on with that team, and we can maybe discuss it in the chat. So yeah, well done to the Manager of the Week there. Elsewhere in the public league, Nathan Perrone in Melbourne, he sits top with Darwin Haaland. What a strike force that is. 296 points, top of the public league. I think there's about maybe 600-700 players in that one, so he's looking great. In the women's, Her Majesty, Ella Melsh, she is still top of the league. And in our members head-to-head, 16 managers in there, $150 as cash prize. Admin, we've got a team in there together, but 4 managers sit top of that league with 9 points. But it is quite an interesting league, that one. I'd be intrigued to see who can take out that one. Now, onto the bonus bank. Obviously, our proud sponsors, they deliver us with their new bonus bank fantasy football tool. So this week, for game week 5, their tool, which you can find in our link tree in the caption below, wherever you're watching or listening, it determines the probabilities based on bookies, promotions, and odds, who is going to keep a clean sheet, and also who is going to probabilities of a player to score in a game. So at the minute, in 3rd place for clean sheets, they're saying Arsenal 43%, Liverpool against Newcastle, it's a 43% chance probability. But the minute favourites, which it should be very obvious on paper, but with this kind of form from City, I'm not too sure. 56% chance of keeping a clean sheet. I'm not too sure I'm going to stick with that triple up in City defence, but those odds are favourable. And the probabilities for goal scorers this week. So in 3rd place, Mo Salah, the man who hasn't been hitting form for all those fantasy managers. 47% chance of him scoring against Newcastle. Elsewhere, 2nd place, Alvarez for Manchester City. He obviously not started a game yet, but he's down as 51% chance of scoring. And Manchester City versus Nottingham Forest, again, Haaland, or Haaland as we call him, 68% chance of scoring. So some big stats out there to review, and that may help you with your team selections. But thank you to Bonus Bank who provided that free tool for us to use this season, giving us clean sheet probabilities and players to score. But elsewhere, let's get into the preview. Lots of discussion, lots of chat to have. We are going to start with the big topic. I think this is obviously a big one for us. Is Haaland getting dropped this week? Will he start? There are questions coming in. Swifty goes crazy. He wants to know. I want to know. And I'm going to give this one to the Rev. Rev, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I have been and ahhing about this all week because obviously our knee-jerk reaction to the last game week is that we do want to give Haaland the armband, but the only question point about that is whether or not he starts. So here's my theory, and this is not gospel. Don't take it as as the true word, but I think he's going to start, and here's why. So Man City obviously play tomorrow at 7:30. Their next game after that is Saturday the 3rd of September, and that's against Aston Villa. Their next game after that is against Sevilla, which is on Tuesday, just 3 days later. And then their next game after that is against Spurs. Personally, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to bench Haaland in either the Sevilla game, because obviously Haaland is going to want to play in the Champions League, or the Spurs game. He's also going to want to play in that because it's a big fixture. It's a difficult fixture, and they are going to need the goals because Tottenham are flying at the moment. So it doesn't make any sense for me personally to bench Haaland right now and then play him against Aston Villa, then Sevilla, then Man City. It makes a lot more sense to play Haaland right now, bench him for Aston Villa, so he's then fresh for the Sevilla and Tottenham games. Now, I don't know whether that's just pure confirmation bias from myself, but if I was looking at a team and I was going to look at fixtures in terms of their importance, I definitely want my star striker available for Sevilla and Spurs. And I don't mind so much if he misses the Aston Villa game, who, frankly, Aston Villa have been really poor. So maybe Alvarez can get his start then, and Haaland will see some rest in that fixture.
Well, Mark, it's so much to think about, and it's great. Obviously, your take on that one's superb, mate. So I think you're giving a bit of insight, which a lot of managers, some are very active week to week. Haaland is the most transferred player in this week. So there's 593,000 managers out there. Don't think he's getting rested this week. They don't think he's getting dropped, and it looks like he's going to start. But is that going to be the curse?
Possibly. I'm all about blessings myself, as opposed to curses, mate. But yeah, Evan in the chat as well saying I'm on fire with this gospel. Hopefully, it's going to be good news for everyone that Haaland is going to start. So yeah, I'm sorry if he doesn't, but that's my opinion that he will.
No, and listen, everyone's going to have a take on this, and it's just about trying to think through it logically. Put yourself in Pep's shoes. We know he's ruthless with the rotation, but he's going to want to start every game, isn't he? He's on fire. He come off a hat trick. He'd be fuming if he's rested for this game. He'll fancy this one to bag, another hattie probably against them. So yeah, for me, Reedy, what's your take on it, mate? What are you feeling?
I think it's 50-50. I really don't think it's as straightforward as what maybe people think. I think that, if anything, he's more likely to rest in both games. I think he could reduce his minutes, considering they've got the Champions League next week. So I really don't know if he'll play the full 90 in both. And as Mikey was saying there about him, coming off the back of a hat-trick and so on, you'd think that Pep wants to keep him going and him sort of keep that form and so on. But I think there's always that risk of his minutes being reduced in both games. So I'm not 100% on it. I won't lie, especially with Pep Roulette and how it's treated us previously. I think Pep could start Alvarez tonight, and they've got enough in the ranks City to kind of win that game. We saw Forest against Spurs. They tried knocking on the door a little bit, but didn't really get much from it. So I'm really up in the air at this at the moment, and I've got Haaland as well, and I'm thinking captain for Haaland. So, but come the deadline, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be sort of second guessing that one, and I don't think we're going to get too much information from Pep, because as we know, he likes to shaft a lot of us FPL managers at the best of times.
Yeah, he is the chief shafter, isn't he, mate?
He certainly is.
Brilliant. Put words in my mouth there, mate. So let's go. Well, listen, it's up in the air. Let us know if you're in the comments now. Let us know what you think. Is Haaland going to start? Let's get your take on it, guys. So please do get involved and let us know what you think. It could stitch a lot of people up. Like I said, nearly 600,000 managers have brought him in this week. So a lot of people, obviously, we can see are in there. But let's move on to the next one. This one manager in our members in our podcast, he wrote an article last week. You know, a lot of people, he was trying to help out because a lot of managers were taking out Trent. He looked to navigate this, but Ollie Walker-Peel, is Trent back in for people? What should managers do? Those who took him out, would that be a priority, getting back in after that goal scoring effort that he did at the weekend?
Well, to be honest, if you're actually if you read the article, which some of you may not have done, some of you may have done, I actually specifically said that if you haven't got other transfer plans or you don't want to save money, hold him. My advice in there, whether it was subtle or not, my advice was to hold him. And I didn't take my own advice because I had the transfer plans that I wanted to make. So if you did take Trent out, you may well get him back in. I'm going to run the gauntlet and leave him out again this week, which is not something I want to do. But I think I'm going to wait until I play my wild card to have him back in. Is that going to put me behind the 8 ball? Quite possibly. Is it a risk I'm willing to take? Quite possibly. If you can get Trent back in, would I advise it? Absolutely. So I've probably just confused everybody there, but I'm not going to get him back in. Should I advise everybody to get him back in? Yes.
Oh my days! I think on the article, listen, there's always small print on an article, and yeah, he did. You know, it's a bit of an insurance policy. Don't listen to him in that advice. But
yeah, that should be the small print. The small print should be listen to my advice or advice with caution, because I am genuinely trying to help. But
there's one word I can sense here, and that word is regret. That is the only word. Oh, that is absolutely amongst the many words. Regret is the one.
Well, yeah, of course. But I think I can't remember who said it, which FPL content creator said it, but I think he once said that you've got to separate the event, the actuality, from the move itself. And a lot of the reasons I wanted to make the move were justified, other than the fact it was Bournemouth. But of course, I regret it. I'm not going to back away and say that I didn't, but I've also got to back my decision in. So I'm going to go with it and see what happens, really.
All right. So just to sum that up, recommend people to get him in if they can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cheers, Ollie. Thanks for clarifying that one, mate. And listen, if you were a Trent owner last week, but you did take him out over the weekend and he scores that top bin, he obviously put on a great display. How are you feeling about that? Are you regretting the decision? Do you blame Ollie Walker-Peel as well? How do you feel? But on to the next one. Talk about fullbacks. Chelsea. We're at Southampton. Chaz, I'm going to bring you in for this one, mate. I want your take on this. Managers who haven't got any Chelsea fullbacks yet. James, Cucurella. Who we're bringing in if there is a recommendation. What's your top tip, mate?
Personally, I don't have any of them right now, but I'm heavily considering bringing one in, starting from this game week. I haven't made any transfers yet, but having a look at Chelsea's fullback scoreboard impact when it comes to fantasy is damaging. We saw it early last season where Reece James went on the purple patch. We've seen it with even Mark Cucurella, who has got an assist in each of his home games. Reece James has had returns in 3 of his 4, which is including a goal and an assist. I think their fullbacks, when I do go forward, are too hard to ignore right now. And starting with Southampton away, which is a fixture, Chelsea battered them at St Mary's 6-0 last season. I think out of the 2, because I'm a bit worried with his training picks, 55 of them, no Reece, I think it's Targa Cucurella, but it's one of those fixtures where he could get rotated and then maybe, just maybe, Ben Chilwell plays.
Yeah, really interesting, mate. For me this week, I'm looking at taking a hit and bringing James in. He's looking brilliant. He's obviously back on the right-hand side. They were so much better, weren't they?
They were. And let's go back to the pre-season talk where Reece, it may have been sooner he'd start at centre-back, but it seems he still makes the fantasy impact consistently still.
Yeah, and they've obviously they just struggled with these clean sheets, though, haven't they? Obviously, we saw Mendy have a bit of a nightmare in there, and that's affecting, even though he does look solid. But does Fofana start and instantly impact that team? Do you think? By the way, just while we're on that Chelsea note,
personally, I'm not all across it. I think he starts more on the weekend and comes on as a substitute, according to Tuchel's tombola subs during the midweek game.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. And cheers for that one. Let's go, Mikey. Let's have your take on the Chelsea situation, mate.
Yeah, so Twitter's been blowing up this morning. FPL Investigator has tweeted out that there was about 55 training photos yesterday, and as Una says, the theory is that James is injured because James was not in any of the training photos at all. And if we check Reece James's Instagram, apparently he was at a water park yesterday, so he's missed training. Whether or not that's him getting the day off, and we'll see him in the game as per usual, or whether he is actually out for the game and he's taking a break, is just a matter to be seen. If you've got a transfer, the obvious move, if you do believe he's injured, is possibly to go to Ivan Perisic, who can be just as explosive. I'll be personally holding Reece James because I do like his fixtures after this anyway, and I do have some decent bench cover this week. So it's one of those. It's a risky one. If you are relying on Reece James, maybe this week you might want to be thinking about benching him or taking him out.
Yeah, it's always a tough one when you start to hear these rumours going about on Twitter and all the noise, because some people do panic, and then all of a sudden, like I think we've been stung a couple of times, especially on the podcast. I think a good one was with Son being out injured last season, and then he went and played and scored. So I think there's a lot of noise. We've got to be careful what we read and when until it's official, and it might just be a water slide burn from the speedos high riding on him, why he's injured, but you never know. But Chaz, I'm going to ask you about this one as well, mate, because the two of the top most transferred out players are Salah and Cancelo. What's your take?
A bit hasty on Mo Salah still. I know he's had a little slow to start to the season compared to his previous campaigns, but I feel he's more than capable of bouncing back, even with a brace or just getting a goal and assist against Newcastle and Bain. The market fluctuates in a contrasting outcome. Cancelo, I think his last 2 game weeks have been a bit of a concern. His first 2 game weeks were awesome, but it's what you're going to expect from Man City. They're going to concede from time to time, and with Cancelo, they're going to get Dunkin' Donuts, or you're going to get high ceilings like his 18 points away at Newcastle in game week 18 last season. Not a lot of the in between, but when City do keep a clean sheet, he's always in contention for bonus points. I still feel it's too reactionary for managers transferring him out at the moment, because 4 of Man City's next 6 fixtures are rated as a 2 in the fixture difficulty ranking, which is a suitable platform for them to consolidate defensively as a side, but also enhance on the Portuguese attacking returns.
Yeah, absolutely, Chaz. And I think, as you mentioned, Nottingham Forest in the next game, I think this is similar to the Liverpool-Bournemouth kind of situation where people are taking out likes of Ollie Walker-Peel, taking out Trent, and then people are panicking and taking out Cancelo. And then you've got the opportunity to keep Cancelo against Forest, who have got 19 new players, which is absolutely ridiculous because that team cannot be gelling, surely. So, yeah, surely that's another thing to back it up. And he's actually gone now, Chaz. So cheers, Chaz. So, Reedy, you can answer that one, mate. Would you be taking out Cancelo?
No, I wouldn't be switching him out, especially with this fixture against Forest. Similar to Trent, he's in that season keeper bracket. Funnily enough, me saying that, I've not got him because on my wild card I decided to bring Ruben Diaz. So if you've got him, you definitely keep him. You've got to just keep him. I think even yourself against Palace was expecting a clean sheet from Man City. I know that people have said Palace are City's bogey team, but you look at the back line, similar to Liverpool in the first 3 games, having 3 of the back 4 playing. Apart from John Stones. So you'd expect them to be keeping clean sheets still and attacking returns, even though he's not looked as threatening this year. It'll be, it won't be before long that he'll get a return and end up with those bonus points in a double-digit haul again. So I'd keep him.
And he is. I've just done a quick count. It looks like the 12th or 13th highest hauler for defenders. Which isn't bad at all. He obviously scored a 7-pointer and an 11-pointer in the first 2 game weeks. Similar fixture with that Bournemouth one there. They won 4-0. He got 11 points in that one with an assist and a clean sheet. So, yeah, very possible in there. I'm just going to bring up a comment, really, while you're still on there. Where was it? Gary's asked, who are the best defenders for 5 mil or under, I guess? Reedy, do you want to give us one?
5 mil or under.
I'm sure you got one
to
right.
Saliba.
I'm sure you had one.
I would have to point to Saliba. Yeah, straight away. Has looked brilliant. He's the defender in the game, along with not far behind him, Gabriel. So I think those two as a pairing are looking fantastic. If you want to look outside of that, Brighton have been absolutely solid at the back this season. Lewis Dunk, Veltman are up there with being great picks, 4.6 each. Veltman may be injured for this weekend, so he could potentially hold off on that one. But Lewis Dunk has kind of maybe not been consistent as such, but been there or thereabouts season after season for Brighton, getting points, getting bonus points when they have kept clean sheets. So those really, I would go with Arsenal and with Brighton. They're the main picks for me.
No problem. Mikey, would you agree with them picks?
My internet did just cut out, I'm afraid. So I didn't get to listen to the Reedy wisdom. So sorry.
No
about
worries,
that,
mate.
guys.
I'll pass it on to Ollie. Ollie, did you agree with them picks, mate?
Yeah, I think the Veltman cloud is a bit of an interesting one. Brighton have been sound at the back so far this season, if you have a look at it. At the moment, clean sheet against Newcastle, clean sheet against Leeds, and Lewis Dunk also had one against, it was a clean sheet against West Ham as well to go along with that. So 3 clean sheets in their opening 4 games. Veltman with the cloud, you'd probably turn away from him, but maybe Dunk as a teammate could be an option. Chaz in our private chat just said Dunkin' Donuts. So, if you want a reason to go with that, never been there, but seems like a decent donut place. So if you fancy it, have a pop. If you're looking away from Brighton, I think obviously Saliba's been the main one. He's got the best chant in the league, I reckon. One of the best chants in Premier League history, alongside the Joe Rebels one we heard off air from Reedy before. Maybe even you look at Newcastle with Fabian Schär. He had one good game week and another clean sheet in there. And they don't have a great fixture this week, but beyond that, their fixtures are okay. So there are plenty of options sub 5 million, but I think Brighton assets are the way to go.
Perfect, mate. Thank you for that recommendation. And Gary, hopefully that helps you. I think we've skirted past this one a bit more. Obviously, we talked a fair bit about Cancelo being transferred out, but Salah being the most transferred out, 2 of the top 3 players seems ridiculous to me. He's going to fire. I do want to bring Reedy in at some point, but I'm going to let his dial-up catch up a little bit. So I'm going to go to Reverend. Hopefully you're back online.
Yes, mate.
Go for it, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is just one of the things in FPL is that, if it was a Taylor Swift song, the haters are going to hate, the skaters are going to skate, and the knee-jerkers are going to knee-jerk. And this was a freak result. It was an absolutely freak result. Liverpool obviously getting 9-0 against Bournemouth, and there are flashbacks from Havertz last year who blanked in a 7-0 win for Chelsea. Now we've got Mo Salah, the FPL GOAT, utterly blanking in a 9-0 win for his team. It's one of those things that is just a total freak incident. In terms of XG, in terms of expected data from that game, Liverpool managed to score 9. However, their expected goals was only 3.81 in total. And so that means they've more than double overperformed, right? They've more than double overperformed. If you take Salah out of the equation, so Salah who blanked, Salah during that game registered a total of 1.35 of his team's total XG, meaning that Liverpool managed to score 9 goals off 2.46 XG if you take Salah out of the equation. So we can't read too much into this game, right? This was a one-off. This was a total lightning striking twice kind of moment. So it's one of them. You've got to hold Salah. The XG is there. The hauls are coming. The points are coming. Don't sell them because you will regret it for sure.
Now, some wise words again from the Reverend. You've heard it here first. And Rev, just while we're on here now, I just want to mention about the confessions room. Can you tell us a little about it?
Oh, well, yeah. You have been confessing your FPL sins, Gillas. And it's going to be up to the group here. It's going to be up to the chat as to whether or not we are going to absolve you for your sins. You've been saying some pretty sordid stuff, to be honest. You've been confessing something pretty bad about what you did right at the beginning of your season last season. And so if people are interested, then do keep an eye out on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go and subscribe to us so that you don't miss the FPL confessions that are coming up. And if you want to get involved with them too, make sure that you go watch it and leave your confession in the comments as well. So maybe we'll get you on to confess in the booth.
Yeah, exactly. We're very excited about dropping this special season and episodes of the confession booth in there where you can confess all your sins and and get back in. I feel like now I've got it off my chest already with my sin. I'm having a blinder this season already, so it's already working as well. So
I've been struggling. I've been struggling carrying the weight of your sin around, mate. That was horrendous. I can't wait for people to leather you in the comments for doing what you did. But there you go.
Yeah, that will be dropping over the next week, so we'll see how we go. Let's just get on to the next bit of news. Obviously, we heard this evening in the last couple of hours, breaking news: Scott Parker has been given the boot from Bournemouth. Unbelievable. We've all said between ourselves, obviously very harsh. He's had 4 out of the 4 fixtures, 3 of them against the top 6 clubs. He's got a win against Villa and he's been booted. He's not been backed as such in the transfer market, unlike Forest who have come up. Seems quite harsh, but Ollie, would you be backing even more so teams who are playing against them now, or have we got to be careful of that bounce back?
I would urge caution, which is weird because it's Bournemouth and Bournemouth look awful. But new manager bounce exists. It is a thing. As much as people may claim that it's not, watch Bournemouth go and get a result or two in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, the run of fixtures, obviously, it's going to be tough to bounce back off a 9-0. They've got Wolves, Forest, Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, Leicester, Fulham, Southampton in the next few games. That's not a bad run. So, in the review last night with Elliot, I said, obviously before Scott Parker was sacked, target Bournemouth. I don't think I'd be so strong in saying that now. It obviously also depends, and I've said obviously a lot, but it depends on who Bournemouth bring in as their new manager. I read online that one of the Sky Sports reporters said that Kjetil Knutsen, who is the manager at Bodo Glimt, is rumoured. Bodo Glimt have done some good things in Norway. Winning the league, not the biggest club in Norway, winning the league, battering Roma last season. So that's going to be an interesting one. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bournemouth do. I wouldn't be so strong as to target them just yet. Give them a couple of weeks. If they're still as bad as they currently are, then, normal service resumes. If they're slightly better, then we can take stock then, I suppose.
Yeah, wow. And Rev, what do you reckon to this news, mate?
I love Football Manager, I love playing Football Manager on, and I don't know if there's anyone else in the chat who are listening who love it, but this kind of feels a bit like when, as a manager and you're playing the game, you try and put a little bit of pressure on the board to invest a bit more into the team. Now, every time I've tried to do this in the game and I've criticized the board publicly for not investing in the team, I just get sacked. And that's exactly what's happened to Scott Parker here. His results have been fine. You know, the win against Villa was great. And then obviously he's expected to lose against Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool. You know, no one's batting an eye at those results. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Scott Parker's being sacked. So there's definitely been some argy-bargy going on in the boardroom. And Scott Parker's been trying to put some pressure on the board to invest more into the playing staff. And it's totally backfired on him. I feel sorry for the guy because, you know, his squad is thin. But whoever comes into that role is going to have a real job on their hands, managing the expectations of the fans, but also trying to recruit players because it looks like the board aren't going to budge on that matter.
Yeah, and so going into FPL, Wolves up next to them, Bournemouth are at home, Wolves going there. Looking at assets, would you be backing any assets to come in and do the business against them? Obviously,
mate, I love always agreeing with Ollie Walker-Peters, except for when he's transferring Trent out. But but yeah, definitely totally on board with our OWP here. Like new manager bounce is real, and we are hopefully going to see those players grit their teeth and dig their heels in and grind out a couple of really nice results.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Thank you for your take on that scenario. I don't know what Reedy is doing during this podcast, but he's in and out. So we'll see what happens if we can get him back on and get his take on it. But over to the next kind of section now. Obviously, we've looked at discussion. We've looked at, I think, all the points that we've ticked off we want to chat about today. But if there's anything else you guys want to chat about, let us know in the comments and we'll try and get it up and try and get that discussion on the go. I think there's going to be a lot of people asking about captains. We will get to the captain's corner very shortly, but we are going to step into the preview for our own teams for this week. But first, if you've not downloaded it already, now this is an app which I'm really enjoying using, the EPL Live app. It's available all worldwide. These guys have been brilliant. A lot of our listeners listen via this app, but also use it for stats during in-play games. Loads of stats and details, but built for football fans, combines these lightning fast stats and live scores straight to your fingertips. So make sure you download the EPL Live app. That'll be fantastic and show some support for them as they've showed us a lot of support too. That is available obviously on Android and Apple as well. So thank you, EPL, for your support. Chaz, we are going to go to you first, mate, because we're going to preview your moves for this week, if there are any, and let us know how your team is doing. So over to you, buddy. He is on mute. He's allowed one this year. He's still talking. Chaz, you're on mute, buddy.
Thank you very much. I nearly forgot. It's been a very long time since I last spoke. So here we have it. We're in a lovely position where we have 2 free transfers coming off a really good game week as well. Now, my thinking is a downgrade is required to fund a future potential upgrade. I've been thinking about potentially Robertson out for a Chelsea defender. I think Cancelo stays for now. Gross has been awesome. Son has been a questionable one. However, already priced out for De Bruyne. I'm still not convinced by Mo Salah. However, he's in a flash. He can get back into form. An upgrade from Taylor to a playing striker, for example, Ivan Toney, has also been a consideration. I think at the moment, what I am thinking out of all the options is Bukayo Saka out. We're going to go Bukayo Sayonara. I'm not sure if his name is Japanese. I'm thinking a Leeds midfielder in Jack Harrison and then roll the other.
Mate, I'm liking that one, Jack Harrison. Someone else has mentioned bringing him in this week. Let's just have a look at it. I think it's Colm. Yeah, Colm Budgler just did the one transfer this week. Harrison in for De Silva. He's obviously keen to get him in. He's been impressed. I think he's a good alternative to Rodrigo as well. Obviously, he's the price rising there, so maybe the value isn't there for him. And obviously, Bamford coming in and threatening his kind of role in there. Harrison's looking good. How far you at 50-50 at the minute, or are you a bit further along?
50-50 at the moment.
All right, nice. Well, obviously, intrigued to see what happens. But what do you think, guys? If those who are watching, if you're live in our chat at the minute, let us know what you think about the Harrison move for Saka. And is anyone else thinking about getting rid of Saka? Let us know. But other than that, mate, your team's looking good. You've obviously had a good week, so I'm sure you don't want to disrupt it too much. And what about, I'll tell you what, we'll do captains after. So we'll jump into someone else. Tiff has just mentioned she loved the Harrison shout in there as well. So you've got the nod of approval. You might even get a live transfer live on air at the moment. I don't know. But Rev, we'll jump over to you, mate, and we'll have a look at your team ready for this week. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so as you can see, my team does look a little bit different as to what it did. Last week, I had 2 free transfers going into this game week. And so I have taken a -4. I think there are certain acceptable situations in which we can take a -4. I think the first one is if, one of your star players, like, for example, a Darwin, gets a red card and won't be playing. And, you need to spread those funds around. Or there are multiple injuries. Another reason why you might want to take a -4 is to fix your team structure, and so that you don't have too much money sitting in the bank doing nothing. I could have just used my 2 free transfers this week, but then I would have had quite a sizable chunk of cash, and I wasn't sure I was going to let the surcharge on that try and go too far away. So I have taken the -4. I have reinvested it into my playing staff. And so the first thing, which seems like a madness, really, especially after Kane's 2 goals, is I've taken out Kane for Tony. Obviously, there's no faith in my beloved Everton because I think Brentford look great. Tony looks amazing. And I think I can spread the funds around from Kane by downgrading into Tony. I've gone De Silva to Bernardo. Bernardo is someone who's been looking great. There was a lot of speculation to whether or not he's going to leave for Barcelona, but he seems to be playing now. He's getting the goals. He's getting the assists. At 6.8 million, you can't really go terribly wrong with this. Obviously, Pep Roulette is going to be a thing, but it's one of those things where for 6.8 million, I'm going to take that risk. And then finally, I've gone Patterson to Perisic, meaning I've got a really, really deep squad now. Obviously, you're going to see there Kyle Walker is on the bench. And hopefully I'm not going to have any Reedy regret as well by having Saliba on my bench. But the fixture schedule is going to get really busy. And hopefully my deep bench is going to cover any possible rotations that we might see from our managers.
Well, I don't think there's many managers out there who have got such a deep squad now. It's looking really healthy on that bench. You've obviously been working on this for the last couple of weeks to get it to this point. You've gone big at the top. I think Tony's a great pick as well. And the Perisic it's obviously strengthened your defense even more, but obviously also the attacking returns more so on there. But we all know how lethal Bernardo was last year. It's exactly the same last season, wasn't it? He was rumoured to be going. It was on his way out, and then he came back into the team, and he absolutely killed it in FPL. And he was looking so good, and he's kind of doing that again now. It looks, especially after the last week.
Yeah, a lot of people have been going to Gundogan, and I think that's a great shout as well. So I obviously would prefer having Gundogan in the side, especially after he got his rest last week. I'm fully expecting Bernardo to get benched this week, and if he does, it's fine. I've got the bench cover for it now. So yeah, hopefully I'll be on the Bernardo hauls when they start to flow in.
Great work, mate, and we'll jump back to you when we pick our captain's pick, but your team is looking healthy as Ollie Walker Peel, over to you, son. How's this team looking for this week?
Yeah, I've already made my move, mate.
Here we go. Trent out. Trent back in.
No, Trent's not there. You can see that Trent's not there. You can see, though, if you're watching the stream. If you're not watching the YouTube video, it's kind of awkward because you can only see a Spotify screen. But Ivan Perisic is into the team this week for Zinchenko. So I've completely cut my loss on Zinchenko. I don't want to risk the injury if he doesn't play. And if Reece James is out, that just strengthens my my ploy to wildcard, I might even just wildcard this upcoming weekend if Reece James is out injured, because honestly, I need something to change. But Ivan Perisic is there. That will probably lead to another 4-4-2, probably benching Williams, Andreas Pereira, and Cameron Archer, and then obviously Edison in goal. So that's the way I'm looking at things with Perisic coming in for Zinchenko. And I suppose the one thing about these articles is it actually informs my view on FPL, even if the article didn't work out from a Trent point of view. Obviously, it didn't. So that was something. But seeing how high up Ivan Perisic played wanted me to transfer him in. So I've gone with that. And hopefully this time my transfers actually work out.
Well, listen, mate, you can't have them all, but I think you've made a good choice in there with Perisic. He's obviously his price has climbed back to 5.5 in there. I've still got him on my watch list as well, and no doubt a lot of managers want him back in. He had all the hype at the start of the season, and obviously Sessegnon burst on the scene, didn't he? But now he's got that kind of match fitness back up and running. He is in there. Do you think there's a chance of him being dropped at all though as well? Is there much rotation for him? Do you see?
Who knows? Probably with my luck. Probably all these players. Haaland will get benched. Perisic will get benched. Cancelo will get benched. Salah will get benched. Matty Cash will get red carded. I don't know.
A red card though.
Oh my god!
Scott Carson will get a league start. But no, hopefully not. Let's put it back into order. I'm gonna back in my transfer. Perisic is gonna do well. And if he doesn't, you can all come back on the podcast next time round and blame me again. So
fair enough. Well, it's definitely thrown every curse out there possible. So we'll see how we go there. Cheers, Ollie. I'll quickly review my team and then we'll go on to Reedy because he's back in the studio. So in my team this week, I've actually done my 2 transfers already. Obviously, I had an okay game week last week, but this week I've now scrapped the triple up with City. I've actually got rid of Edison. I brought in Sanchez. I think I preferred him instead of the Raya option. I feel like Brian are a bit more solid, and I did have him last season, a lot of the season as well. So, gone back to the faithful Sanchez. That's freed up some cash elsewhere, and I've actually gone for. I brought in Haaland this week instead of Kane. So I am praying he does not get rested. I think this is another prime game. I think it's of the moment. This is why he has been transferred in by so many managers too. But that home fixture was too tasty for me to avoid. So yeah, Henry's dropped on my bench there, but I've still got Cancelo and Walker at the back. So the triple up on City's still there. I'm happy with the Arsenal triple up with Martinelli, Odegaard, and Jesus. Great fixture against Aston Villa, and under pressure Aston Villa team. And then the triple up with Liverpool, Diaz, Salah, and Trent. I think it's a formidable trio. I'm back in that, and I do fancy, I know I've put Sanchez in goal, but Andreas Pereira on set pieces against Brighton at home. I feel like there might be something there for him, so I am going to start him this week rather than Henry, who is the away team for Brighton at Crystal Palace. But that is my team. I'm looking forward to that one and seeing what happens. But Reedy's back in the studio. Hopefully his internet connection is good and his team just as good, but we'll see. How we doing, Reedy? Jobs are good, and he's frozen again. So nice work. I'm not too sure what we'll do here. If we'll take
I'm back. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
We'll give you a minute and see how you go, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, I know it's not been the best, but just wanted to obviously show me team, see what you think this week. I know there's a few rumours about Reece James at the minute, but I'm pretty set. I'm looking at rolling. We'll see how we get on with that. Don't think I need to make any moves at the moment, so I'm happy going into next week with 2 free transfers.
Wow. That was short and sweet. Cheers, mate. Thank you for that. What we'll do now, we'll jump into the captain's corner with Chaz. Sorry, mate. That was. I know your internet's not great, so thank you for keeping it short there, buddy. So Chaz, captain's corner. We love this segment. We know you've got the picks. What have you got for us, buddy?
I'm surprised you love this segment because, in fairness, I just say normal captaincy options, but there's a curveball at the end. Not a whole lot of stats to back it up, but firstly, I do like the name, and I've liked his last 2 games. But first, we start with Salah, who was one of the 3 players who blanked in Liverpool's mammoth 9-0 win, and it was seriously good to watch as a neutral and seriously demoralising if you're a Bournemouth fan or a Scott Parker enthusiast. Mo Salah has scored in each of his 5 home league games against Newcastle, dating back to March 2018. We also have Trent Alexander Arnold, who's a little sneaky pick on this, who got back to his best with 17 points against Bournemouth last week. He faces the Newcastle side at home, in which he did manage to score against them, which was in December. And he also secured all 3 bonus points in their 3-1 win. Salah is predicted to get the most points of this game week with 7.0, according to Fantasy Football Pundit Stats. I'm losing my pages, and I do need to go to bed soon because I do have a 3 a.m. alarm. Let's get to the City boys. Just quickly, I have lost my order. I got it. All good. Now, if you don't know in Salah, there's always the City boys to provide the armband assurance. Erling Haaland was the first City player, got his first City hat-trick on Saturday, scoring 3 after half-time to rescue Man City to a 4-2 win after going 2 goals down. And after 4 game weeks, he is ranked top for expected goals with an XG of 5.53. So that represents the amount of goals he is expected to have in total by now. Kevin De Bruyne is always there to challenge him. He did blank, surprisingly, on Saturday, despite City scoring 4 goals, and it was his first blank at home since game week 26 last season, when Man City lost to Tottenham 3-2, but he is also ranked inside the top 10 for expected assists, despite his below-par performance. And as I said, City's for their next 6 are rated as a 2 in the FDR, so if you're selling Cancelo, I wish you all the very best in life. Harry Kane, we go to this one. He's playing a London derby, and we know about Kane and London derbies. Match made in heaven. I was trying to figure out what the word was. He has scored 4 goals in his opening 4 games. And speaking of 4, he has also scored a brace against David Moyes' side on 4 occasions in his career. His form in the last 3 game weeks has been impressive in itself, having the 7th highest points total in that period with 24, and the highest is 6 more with Rodrigo from Leeds United, who's already risen 500,000 since the season has started. So if you want a nice risky differential, that is your man. And remember, I'm just going to say it as it is, he loves the London derby, and West Ham do love conceding. Now, my little curveball of the week, because Jack has been demanding through my messages to me, and he wants a curveball. So we're going to go with Martin Odegaard on this edition. He scored 3 goals in the last 2 game weeks. He's achieved maximum bonus points as well. He recorded the highest XG out of all players in their game week 3 fixture against Bournemouth with 0.64. Now, last week, he got 0.18, which is ranked 8th out of all players. However, he did register 3 shots. So the question is his form sustainable enough? But the scores are saying he's just piling them through at the moment. So there's always options in this. You got your Sakas, you got the Martinellis, you got your Tequila Saliba. You also have Martin Odegaard just waiting in the wings in himself. So at the moment, now I've set my alarm for 3:30 because I need to prepare myself and go over uni assessment. That is all for my Captain's Corner. Thank you for listening.
Legendary stuff, as always, Chazza. We love your picks, mate. You can jump off any time, mate. If you need to go to bed, you get yourself to bed, mate. You've done your homework, you've done your research, you've backed up with the stats. So let us know what you think of the Captain's Corner. Are you backing them up? Personally, we've been frothing for a curveball in there, something differential. We know it's the usual lads we want, so I think throwing something out there, and even better, Odegaard, Obviously, I know you've been listening
So
to my picks.
spicy. So
Spicy
spicy.
pick. I think it's a great pick for it. I'm not too sure how many more game weeks he's got left in him to be hauling big, but let's have it. So if you fancy a gamble this week, Chaz's, CC with Chaz, Captain's Corner is called Martin Odegaard as the curveball captain. And obviously the big hitters in there, Salah to bounce back, Kane in there as well, who's on form. And obviously the City boys, Haaland after his hat-trick, and obviously KDB, who we know can deliver anytime. Boys, I'm going to go through to each of you. Captain picks. Ollie Walker-Peel, who's your captain for this week?
Might be an interesting one. I'm sticking with Mohamed Salah this week over Erling Haaland.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. Is your vice-captain Haaland?
My vice-captain will be Haaland, yeah.
No problemo. The Rev, you're up next. Who is your captainio for this week?
Yeah, I've had a bit of bad luck with captain picks so far, but hopefully Erling Haaland is going to do the business for me. I'm going to put my faith in the Nordic Meat Shield.
Beautiful. Chaz, before you go, who's your captain?
There's two options. As I always follow the 10 mil or more premium policy, I'm going to go with Haaland, only because I think Son is out of form, and right now I just do not consider him as a captaincy.
Fair enough, my man. Captain Reed, who's your captain?
It's going to be Mohamed Salah.
Ooh, Mohamed Salah for a change. Do you think James Gaffney should go De Bruyne or Salah?
De Bruyne, if I had them. I'd definitely be going for De Bruyne over Salah. I think that Forest fixture just looks far too tasty to ignore. And Newcastle are a tough side, but I do think Newcastle could struggle. I do wish Elliot was here to tell us a bit more about the Newcastle's injuries that they have at the moment. Rumours are that Trippier is out. Rumours are that Bruno G is also out. So they're looking quite thin, but they're still a great side.
No St. Max either. No.
Yeah, no St. Max, exactly. So they are going to be not attacking as much. So it is a tough shout, but if you had a gun to my head and I had to pick one, I'd say De Bruyne, just because he's just silk, isn't he?
Cheers,
he's
mate.
Just amazing.
Can you answer this one for Sync 2020? Yo, should I take a -4 to go from Rodrigo to Odegaard?
No, is the simple answer.
Chaz, do you agree with that?
I'm just writing now, own chat. Nah, move on.
Nah, not into that. Fair enough. And do you think, this is what Chaz, Elliot could have answered, but Chaz, you can do this one. Do you think Isaac will play for Newcastle, their brand new signing?
If he's got a work permit sorted, I don't see why he doesn't start. I reckon Eddie Howe should just go whack, bang, go for it. We'll just chuck you on field. See how it goes.
He's got to be better than Chris Wood, right, Ollie?
He does. I listened back to the podcast the other day and you were talking about Chris Wood to Rovers. I'd have him. I'd have Chris Wood. But I'm not sure if Eddie Howe would. So, I think Isak, if he doesn't start, I think he'll get minutes for Newcastle. And when a player like that gets minutes, there's always a chance he'll score. So I think he's an option.
Fair enough. Rev, for Tiff, Haaland or KDB for Captinho?
Yeah, as much as I love KDB, and he's one of my favourite players, I'd still go with Haaland. Sometimes in FPL, you got to strike while the iron is hot, and Haaland is definitely on a hot streak right now.
All right, fair enough. Well, hopefully that has helped you guys, but we're going to be wrapping up the podcast in just a moment. But a big thanks to our sponsor, Bonus Bank, who have backed us for 2 seasons now, continue supporting us. They've got the fantasy football tool as well as a bit of an extra, but you can check out their details below. They give you the best how to take advantage of bookies promotions this season. You can use the platform for free, or if you want to go premium, you can get 25% off with the code word FPL Addicts. The link is in the caption below as well on our YouTube. So please check out them. They are superb and love being in their community as well on Discord. But thanks so much for tuning in. If you've loved the podcast, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. Make sure you give us a like on the stream as well. And also a rating and review on the podcast if you are listening and listening back. But we'll be back next week. We've got the game week preview. I'm sure the Scouse House will be back. We should be back actually in a couple of days' time because we've got Premier League this weekend too. So it's going to be a full week for us all here. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I think this has been a record kind of a stream for us. We know the transfer deadline, if you're listening right now, is 3 a.m. for Australia. What's that time? When's the deadline for you in the UK, boys? 6 p.m. Thank you, Chaz. That sounds about right, so we'll go with that. Maybe 7 p.m. 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Oh, really? You're still in the studio. Good to hear from you, mate. But thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back, and good luck, and may all your FPL dreams come true this week for Game Week 5.